Today we're looking at what I'm calling, for lack of a better word, gas station tees. These are designs that I think you would see that are screen printed kind of old school if you were on a road trip and you pulled off to refuel and you kind of found, some little obscure store attached to the gas station that had these old school kind of funny shirts in them, right? Then we're going to look at what kind of sales volume these guys are doing with Everbee and what kind of money these sellers are actually making, if they're making any money at all. Then I'm going to show you how we can come up with endless amounts of design ideas for a similar aesthetic, and then I'm going to show you how to make these super simple designs in Kittl. And of course I got free trials and all kinds of massive discounts in the description below. Like I said, I just typed in a retro animal shirt because I didn't want to come up with like gas station actual like mechanic types bowling shirts or anything like that, so I just typed in retro animal shirt, and then you would just come in here and change this to best sellers, and now you've got, it's pretty much the same ones that they were showing already anyway, but we've got a bunch here that are kind of showing up. These are also what I would consider potentially gas station shirts, right? This based on it's a spoof of the Three Wolf Moon shirts from back in the day. They also got some of that 90s, bootleg vibe thing going on, but the ones I'm talking about are this kind of thing here. So you've got a single color that are sarcastic, silly goose on the loose, all these kind of old cliches that, our parents used to say and maybe our older brothers and sisters used to say back in the day. Maybe even we said them. Sweet but we'll throw hands again. A couple of variations on that you're seeing there and here. But if we go back to not the best sellers, there's also a bunch here that you can see trending too in terms of the aesthetic, right? Out of Breath Hiking Society. I'm going to command click, open a new tab here. You got very monochromatic. That has a couple extra colors. God's Oopsiest Daisy. These are pretty funny. Get rid of the star seller too. So this is showing me everything now that was, the organic search results here, right? So we've got popular now. None of these are even ads yet. Easy tagger, that's a huge one. I've said that 1,000 times, I'm sure. Let's just click on Everbee here to see what we're looking at. And Everbee, you can see right here is this little blue circle that has the bee in it, and when it says on, it's activated. And I'm looking at this one right here, Easy Tagger. Just gonna click on this little bee. See, it populates over all these listings. So this little one right here tells me that this listing is not even 2 months old yet. It's sold 12 times already. It's got a review already. It's got over 1,000 views and 51 favorites in about 2 months. And of course you can come down here and check some of the keywords here to see what they're using for their tags above and beyond the listing title, which is comfort colors, vintage, easy tagger graphic, casual tagger print tee, trendy animal t-shirt, retro style. So really the emphasis for what they're showing up here for is probably A, comfort colors, but B, tagger graphic shirt, casual tagger print tee, and retro style. Otherwise, trendy animal maybe, but like t-shirt, woman's graphic tee, maybe those are getting some kind of search volume, but looks like women's graphic tee is actually being searched for here. So women's graphic tee has search volume of 1,000, but really I think it's casual graphic, tagger print shirt, animal print tee. It's not just about the search volume here, right? It's also about the graphics themselves. This one looks cool too. I'm just going to click on the Everbee extension here. What are we looking at? Listing is 4 months old. It's sold 110 times. It's the estimated monthly revenue here as over $1,000 at 1,007. Looking at 26 sales a month. Again, animals. So just animals is the search volume here. Trip shirt. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Road trip shirt, right? These are the kinds of things where, you would find on those road trips, right? And as I was talking about, potentially finding the gas stations in the small town nowhere, I think we can go one step further with these designs and actually add maybe a town or small town underneath, right? Make it more of a, what would have been a momentous occasion or a memento of your trip, right? So something that you would find in like Value Village or some kind of thrift shop, right? Just to see what they're doing with the Three Wolf Moons here. I would definitely not do Three Wolf Moon because that will get you thrown off, but it's 61 favorites, brand new listing. I would not do this. I would stay far away from that one. God's Oopsiest Daisy. Okay, so it's a month old, 14 favorites, no sales, kind of what I was thinking. So it's getting some love, but not like, in a way that'll do anything. Definitely a retro vibe here. Sorry, Houston, I have so many problems. That's pretty funny. 120 sales, 4 months in, right? Making just shy of $800 a month. Man, I Love Frogs. A little on the risque side, but still 5 months old, doing 23 sales a month. So it's selling. This one is just cats, also monochromatic. So these are the patterns I'm saying when we're looking at stuff, right? What are we catching on here in terms of repeating patterns with an aesthetic here? And I'm looking at them, seeing all these monochromatic single color designs. 6 months old, 92 sales. Looks like he's doing 14 a month, over $500 a month. These are telltale signals here for what can come in the future. These look like space, dogs in space. That's funny. I don't know if that's visible enough, so I think this could do much better if it was presented better, but yeah, there we go. 3 months, 53 sales. Like, these are making money. Variations of it, but again, this one is kind of cool. The silly goose on the loose, right? Super simple to do. Just words on shirts with a bit of an icon that, makes sense for the design, right? So 4 months old, 200 sales. They're doing 1,200 in revenue just on this one. So I'll open that one up too. We're going to look at the money that they're making here. So you've got this 674 plus. Do not be fooled by this, because I'm sure that if we went for an XL t-shirt, it's going to be a lot more money. $16.10. There you go. So what was the option for $6? Probably something obscure. Oh, baby onesie probably. Yeah, baby onesie newborn, one size is they're showing that. And the reason they do that is it's not a loss leader like people would have you believe. They're just using the wrong terminology. A lot of YouTubers and Etsy sellers don't really know actual business acumen or terminology, but it's price anchoring is ultimately what it is. So it's drawing you in based on a predisposed price to kind of lure you in with the click. And then it's more like a bait and switch than it is a loss leader. A loss leader is actually something that would sell, right? And not to say that the baby onesie wouldn't sell, but it's definitely not going to be selling nearly as much. It's not why people are coming to the listing, right? You're just luring them in with a low price. Comfort color, silly goose shirt, $16.10. They're definitely charging for shipping. So cost to ship $6.04. So this is another testament to not knee-jerk reaction to Etsy's under $6 shipping thing, right? You don't have to make the changes that Etsy suggests you make just because they keep peppering you with these suggestions on your dashboard, right? Take everything with a grain of salt. The changes that came into effect in the beginning of the month were that people who priced under $6 for shipping were going to get potentially priority placement, right? Well, here we are, $6.04. They're literally less than a nickel out, right? They're 5 cents over the $5.99 marker. They're literally 5 cents more expensive than that $5.99 marker to be getting that priority placement, and they are making sales. It's a bestseller. Again, if we analyze the listing, look at the sales volume here. 4 months old, it's sold 209 times already. You know what I mean? So like, I wouldn't change the thing on a bestseller. If it's working for you, let it keep going until your sales start to decline, or there becomes a reason where you think you should buy into potentially screwing around with your shipping prices, right? All right, so coming over to Printify here, I want to actually see what they're making. And just so you guys know, Printify introduced a couple of companies that are doing embroidery now. So I've got a snapback trucker embroidered hoodie on the way, ordered some samples here. So I'll be definitely going over those in a month or so when I get them down here in Belize. But I wanted to show you how much money these people are making. It's the garment dyed 1717 comfort color shirt. We're looking at $11.35 for all of these up till 2XL, then it goes up. So $11.35, and our shipping is $4.75, right, to the United States. So we can come over here and just plug these numbers in. So we got $11.35 and $4.75. Etsy calculator, $4.75. Cost of item was $11.35. We know that their shipping price was just above the $5.99 threshold there for being under 6, and their discount I believe was 60%. So now we're looking at right away, their profit margin on this is $15.76. They're making $3.49 per shirt sold. This is not something I would recommend to be running massive sales like that, but you could easily, drop this to 45% and boom, now you're actually making $9 a shirt, right? You're making some decent money, some real money. They're clearly just doing this to get the sales momentum. It doesn't seem to be a shop that is super old by any stretch, but once they have the ball rolling, they'll have some serious velocity. They could probably run a 35% off sale, and then they're making $12 a pop, and it still looks like the customer's getting a really good deal, right? So that said, these guys are making $3.50 at this 60% off, but realistically speaking, at 35% off, they're doing $12 a shirt. Let's see what it would be. 40% off would still be 10. Yeah, you can run 40% off sale all day if you wanted and have almost $11 profit per t-shirt, right? And the nice thing about using Monster Digital, or any of these actually, a bunch of them are on the 9+ ratings here now, is that if we sort by production time, that's how I usually make most of my decisions, because I do price for enough of a margin that isn't going to break the bank if I have to switch to somebody who's, charging $3 more. But typically I'll stick with Monster Digital, and their average production time has been just under a day, which has held true for months now. There was a warning that they were going to be impacted because they're Florida based with the hurricanes and whatnot, but they've been just fine. And SwiftPod has been a very good backup. They are my go-to for if and when Monster Digital is out of stock, or for some reason shipping times are taking a little longer, which they kind of do if they get bogged down in the coming weeks, right? When the Christmas rush hits the proverbial fan in about 2 weeks or so, 3 weeks. But then I'm switching to SwiftPod, who is also charging a nickel less, right? So it's kind of like win-win-win, really. That said, let's look at what these guys are making now. So looking at this listing here on the sweatshirt, 110 sales, 4 months, are doing 26 a month. What kind of profit are we actually talking about here now, right? So again, $13.95. They're probably not selling the sweatshirt for that. So we've got XL sweatshirt and we've got this massive range here. So of course, here we go. So every color you could possibly order is $24.45 except for orange. And you know why? Probably because it's the ugliest if they didn't change the color. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. This is so ugly to look at. It looks terrible. Nobody's going to order it, so that they're never going to have to sell it. Also using some kind of bait and switch / price anchoring to get people in. It seems to be working for them though. That said, I really think they could make the sales anyway because it's Q4. I don't think they need to do any of this stuff, but it looks like it's working. So it is what it is. So they're using the Gildan 18,000. Let's look at what we're looking at. Sweatshirts. Gildan 18,000. 1337 SwiftPod Monster Digital. These are, that is significant enough, 60 cents, that I might choose this. Same shipping. Marco Fine Arts actually has come down a lot in the pricing. But let's check out what these guys are looking at here for SwiftPod. So if we were going to go with the sand color, $13.37, and then the shipping, standard US, $8.49. $13.37. $8.49. Back to a sand color here, and actually one of the other things that we need to remember is that the listing photo color, that option that you put as the main image, is typically the one you're going to sell the most of, right? Regardless of what other colors you offer. So be conscious of that too when you're creating your designs and your listings. If you have a color that might not have a ton of inventory, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you have, a popular color that multiple printers offer going into the, the depths of November around the corner here. But that said, 50% off, $7.40 to ship, so $13.37, and the shipping is, we'll say $8.49. We'll use a standard one here. $13.37 and $8.49. Go over to the listing calculator. $13.37. $8.49. Got the sales price here of $48, but they had a 50% off sale, and their shipping price was $7.40. So they're making right now a margin of just over 20%, 20.44, and they're making $6.50 US. So once they get that sales velocity under their belt, they can drop this to 40, and then they're making the same $11 a sweatshirt, right? And that's still a significant sale. They drop it to 30%, which really by middle of November and people shopping for Christmas gifts, they are not going to care how much they're spending, right? They're going to be already, adding to cart. They're going to be emotionally invested in this particular gift for whoever they think would find it hilarious. They're going to be making $15 to $20 all day, right? 25% off, they're looking at $17.58. Realistically, you could run 30% all day and still be making over $15, right? And this, another t-shirt. I'm not going to go through the motions with this one, but just to show you guys, they're making actual real money when you look at the size that actually makes sense here. So looking at these now, we've got Easy Tagger, the Out of Breath Hiking Society, be there in a minute. Pretty funny, right? Something you would say if yeah, come and be there in a minute. It's sarcasm mixed with the humor. The common denominator here is these old school retro sayings with these old school retro looking animals. So how can we come up with endless design ideas in the same old school looking screen printed aesthetic? Well, I'm going to pull over Chat-GPT here and just say, give me something like, give me retro sayings like Easy Tagger that our parents used to say. Here are some fun retro sayings like Easy Tagger that have that nostalgic vibe. Here we are. Cool your jets. Calm down or slow down. It even tells you what they are. Don't get your knickers in a twist. Hold your horses. All kinds. These are funny as heck. You could have a design here like it's the bee's knees. You could have a bee pointing to his knees, right? Something kind of ridiculous. Keep your shirt on. Hold your horses. Cool your jets. So let's try another thing. Give me an animal that I could pair with each of these for a t-shirt design. We'll see what happens. Cool your jets. A sloth wearing aviator glasses. Awesome. How cool is that, right? I wasn't sure what I would do for an animal there, but if the sloth is wearing aviators, then it's definitely pilot-esque, right? Hold your horses. A turtle holding the reins like it's leading horses. So it could even be a turtle on the back of a horse. I think that's a pretty funny one, actually. What's the big idea? An owl with a light bulb over its head? Sure. Take a chill pill. It makes perfect sense. I might not have even thought of using a polar bear for that particular saying, right? That could also work with penguins. Cut the mustard, a fox holding a mustard bottle with a sword. This is a gold mine. This is a gold mine, right? You could do this forever. And the best part about these designs is they don't have to look amazing. They just have to be funny. Out of Breath Hiking Society, be there in a minute. Silly Goose, On the Loose. They're not incredible designs by any stretch. It's goose with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat, right? This one, for example, Out of Breath Hiking Society. You've got a vintage looking raccoon design here, one color, hiking society. Pretty easy to do. I might even distress it a bit, but I don't even think you need to at this point. They're just, the first ones that can get out there with some of these ideas is going to make the money. So again, the prompts are give me retro sayings like Easy Tagger that our parents used to say. And of course you can ask it to give you more and more and more. And then give me an animal that I could pair with each of these for a t-shirt design. And we just came up with 15 sayings and 15 animals. So 15 complete design ideas. And looking at this thing again, look, 20 views in the last 24 hours. How much were they doing here for volume? Listing age, 110 sales. So let's say that 60% of those sales, so probably 60 literally were in the last 2 months, if anything, right? Or maybe even more, like 70 out of these 110 since it's gaining traction here. Just crazy to see the amount of volume for 4 months in the mix here. And again, if you want to try Everbee, I got a sweet discount down below, so make sure you use my link. Costs you nothing extra and actually saves you money. But now let's go into Kittl and actually make some of these designs. So here we are in Kittl. I'm just going to go on a new project as usual. Come over here to print on demand. And again, I'm always picking this merch on demand one. It's nice and easy. It sets it at 45 by 54 at 300 DPI, which is the equivalent of 15 inches by 18 inches tall. Nice and big. Fill the design space, fill that box. Right here, I'm going to come down here and you've got Kittl AI. So I'm just going to click on this here. Image generator. Relatively simple, right? Vintage raccoon that is out of breath, standing on its hind legs. And I'll just come down here and probably scroll over and see what we can do. Maybe, yeah, pencil drawing should do it. Let's see what we get. And of course, I'll do a few iterations of each, right? Oh, I forgot to say the key term here, tired. And I might even take vintage out just to see what happens. That's funny. Let's try less particular. Tired raccoon on its hind legs. But this one could work. Let's just try tired raccoon standing on hind legs. Sometimes less is more. Bingo. Right? Now we got this tired raccoon standing on hind leg. Just going to copy this, paste it in here just for a quick reference. You can see it do its thing there and boom, Bob is your uncle. So, you're just kind of standing there and you got some trees in the background. But as you know, it's a single color design here, but it's got this big white box, right? So the easiest thing we have to do here to get rid of this is just come over here and click on AI background remover. You'll see it kind of remove the background. There you go. Now you can see it's got no background on it at all. I'll just zoom in here so you can kind of tell, and I'm holding Option and scrolling in and out, way easier than, hitting the pluses and minuses down here. And then if we wanted the shirt color to show through so that it doesn't stay white on every other shirt, it's always whatever the shirt color is, you just come over here and click Image Vectorizer, leave it at one color, and it'll should get rid of the white. Make it a single color design. So here we are. Definitely looks a little vintagier now, but you can see the design showing through. So if we had, for example, click on the background color here, let's go layers, background. We can make the background this sand color. And if we wanted to make this guy, now that we've vectorized them, you can make him, you can literally ink drop any of the colors. So we just ink drop the green. So now it's green on this color. But even if we were to change the background color now, so you just come over here, change this, we can just drag this slider. So if it was on, the lighter blue shirts, what sweater options did we have for colors here? So we've got the Carolina blue, you've got the sand, obviously, indigo blue, looking at some of the lighter ones, a light blue. Yeah, these are all colors that I think would look pretty cool. You can just drag this so you can have an idea of what you're doing. Go with the lighter blue here, something to that effect. And you can now change this in here, slide this over so that it's a bit of a darker blue. So you've got this vintage blue looking now on this lighter blue background, right? That matches, the sweatshirt in here. So pretty easy to do at Kittl. You can then just type the words out here and do your own version of this. But I think we should do one of our own here. I kind of like this hold your horses, and it's a turtle holding the reins like it's leading horses. So why don't we actually make one with a turtle holding the reins and actually leading the horses? So I'm just going to click on text here. We're just going to add a headline, populate there, and I'm just going to paste that. We'll zoom out here, hold on Option and pull the corners out to make it nice and big. Holding Option, zooming out, and we can look at some kind of retro type font here. I'm just going to go into here and type retro and see what pops up. See if this one looks good. Actually, I think this should be all caps here. Hold your horses. This actually looks Western, which could work for the horses here. Interesting. I'm going to hold Option and click and drag. So I'm going to keep the caps one here. And for the design process here, I think that looks pretty cool. So I just made a capital S and a capital H, and the rest is what would be lowercase for this font. I think this could work better for down here also, because I did say, remember that I said I wanted to add middle of nowheresville or something like that, right? So hold your horses. We can do this, and then we can come back over to the Kittl AI here. Going to keep the pencil drawing here. I'm just going to go with a cowboy turtle riding a horse. Okay, so we don't want cowboy turtle. Maybe we just want turtle sitting on a horse. See what that does. How about turtle sitting on a horse? Sometimes less is more. This is getting a little bit too much. There we go. I think this looks way cooler. It already looks vintagier. Small turtle sitting on a horse. Just got to play around with this stuff, right? We got a few options here. These look more what I was thinking, a small painter turtle or whatever you call it. All right, so vintage baby turtle sitting on a big horse. That did it. This looks more vintage, and it actually looks the part here. I might do one more for good measure, and I think we might have a winner. It's actually holding its horse, right? So now again, all we have to do is click on AI background remover, and then you'll eventually see this white disappear here. And it's smart enough to know that, you know, to get rid of the white here and here. And it looks like it's showing a bit here, but then we can always just use the magic eraser here. So I'll just come in here, and it's, the more you zoom in, the more you can make the eraser a little bit smaller, but you can also come in here and reduce the size here. So you can just kind of go along here and get rid of it. If you have a tablet or a pen, or you can use your finger, it would go a lot faster and easier. I'm just going to do a really quick job of this. All right, so that looks a little better. And we can come over here and just click on Image Vectorizer and pick one color, and that's it. It's going to reduce the color to a single color, which is usually black. Actually, that needs to go on a shirt too. Bob's your uncle. Maybe I'll do that. And then you can just click on Transformation down here, and by default it was on angle, but you can just click on Arch here, which is different than, you know, just customizing, but you can click on Arch, and we can kind of just pull these bars down a little bit so that it looks relatively even. Hold your horses. I think that looks pretty cool. You know, we just want to make sure that it's kind of straight across here. So I'll probably pull this one down a little. It just needs to look visually good here. Hold your horses. I'll move you over here, and then maybe we can introduce, I'll just close these up a bit, and we can just hold on Option and pull both corners down like that. So we're kind of nice and small down here. I actually think I want to increase the spacing here. So I'm just gonna hang on to that one, maybe make it a little bit bigger. Seems more retro, right? Seems more the part. Maybe we'll move you down, and maybe we'll make you a bit more of focus here. I want to keep it kind of within the confines here, just smaller like this, and then we can have just a town or city under here, right? I think Cool Your Jets is cool too. Just pop you over here. So I'm just going to select this all now and group it. That way, when we had our layers here, for example, again, just to show you, if we click on background, got our background color. If we wanted to change the color of the background to what would be a sand color, then no, now you've got exactly what you're looking for, right? This green that matches, zoom out a bit, and then you can kind of see exactly how it's going to look here, right? So again, this layer, I think our background color is a little too dark, so we can probably do that. That looks more in line with this. And now you've got the idea of how it's going to look, right? So I'll move you up here. And what did we say? Cool Your Jets. So copy text. Let's go with, you can click these three dots to get ungroup, or you can just hit Command G. And I'm doing that because I'm going to hold Option and drag down here. And I think they look more fun without the punctuation. Cool Your Jets. And what was the suggestion? A sloth wearing aviator sunglasses. Copy, paste, generate image. Haven't changed anything, so we're still using our pencil drawing option here. I might throw in the word vintage to this prompt, but we'll see what happens here. I just tried a sloth lying down wearing aviator sunglasses to see what happens. These could work too. Why don't we ask it for a pilot sloth. Maybe it'll give us something, you know, more to the effect of an actual pilot looking. Although these both definitely will work. This might actually do the trick right here anyway, right? Here we go, a little wonky, but this could do the trick. You could always black it out. And of course, we'll try a few iterations and see what happens. Adding vintage, we'll do a couple more and see what happens. Here we go. So he's got his goggles up because he's wearing his shades. Definitely looks piloty, right? I think we're pretty good here. Again, I'm just gonna click AI background remover. And that's most of it done. Colors 1, vectorize image. Of course, if you wanted to keep the white in here, I'll do both here. So before I do that, I'll show you this. So I'm just gonna hold Option and drag here. So on this one, if we wanted to keep the white, so if you're gonna use it on different color shirts, but you wanted to keep like the white element to it, we could always, or a 2-color design, we could always increase this to 2 and then vectorize. And it should give us black and white, or black in another color, but you can always choose this color and make it, you know, whatever color you wanted, right? So you can make it, you know, more like a vintage light blue, and you can make this one more monochromatic as well. So instead of the black, we've got maybe a darker blue, right? So you can have 2 shades, kind of monochromatic, still looks cool. Or we can just go with this one, image vectorizer, leave it as 1, and it should give us the black and knock out all of the white. Make it look extra vintagey as always by default, which is pretty sweet. So now you've got the shirt color. And again, I'll show you here if we click on layers, click on this, go to the background, our background color here now, if we wanted to change this to, you know, the different color shirts. In this case, I think the background, we could do a little lighter for the light blue, but then this design, we could make one of these blues here. Something like that looks pretty cool, right? And then we can click on Cool Your Jets. So you can just come over here and pick on the color, and it shows our document colors here. And we've got our newest blue here, and there we are, Cool Your Jets. So you could also, not letting me pick here, I could also just kind of put it right under. This looks pretty cool, I think, as is. It's funny. It's simple, and it's things that look like what you would find in those gas station kind of stores, right? Lots of different things you could do. You could add a couple of different fonts here. We can also add the Springfield, Missouri here if we wanted to make it really small. And I'll hold Option so that when we pull that in, it pulls both in. Otherwise, it would have only done one or the other, and then we're all out of whack in terms of centering. You could do that, and we can also, holding Option and zooming in here again, I will make this all the same color because we're going to continue with our monochromatic designs here. Pick this same blue, and I think with this font, we could do something scripty even. We'll just come over here, I'll click Script, Venture 01. Let's first make this 0, so they're touching. Click on Script, got Acro Script. This guy I think might do it. Make you a capital S. I think that looks cool. And it looks, you know, a little rounded here and imperfect. It looks like it could be an old typewriter font. So just by playing around, we kind of find this stuff, right? So that's it. Cool Your Jets, Springfield, Missouri. And you can add, you know, elements of lines if you wanted, different things. And if you did want to try Kittl, I do have the link down below for 25% off, and that's good for the annual subscription. It save you up to $72 on their Pro. So definitely worth checking out. So let's add some stars. You can come over here to elements. We can click on ornaments, and we've got a couple of spot elements. So we've got our single and our triple, and I'm just going to hold Option and then click and drag, make them smaller. So we've got kind of this guy going on here, maybe this one over here, a little bit smaller, and maybe then holding Option, click and drag, and we've got a second one here, make you a little bit bigger. At the same time, just that same blue. And now everything makes sense for this design in the same kind of vein. I feel like these are overpowering a little, so maybe I'll just make you smaller. Same with you two. That looks kind of cool. It just gives the emphasis or the feel like he's potentially going off into dreamland, even though he's already a sloth who's slow, who's definitely not in a rush, definitely got his jets cooling, right? So that's all there is to it. I would just then group this, so Command G, just to make sure that now if I wanted to move it, it's all one piece. Gonna hold Option and zoom out. Oh, and our poor raccoon. This guy would do the trick for this design for sure. I will click on this and then I will hold Option, click and drag, and fill the space here. So now it's pretty much filling up the entire space. And then I'm just gonna come over here and click on download, and we're gonna remove background, optimize quality. It's already set to our dimensions here, and then just click on download. And of course you can change the city here, or you can remove it all together, right? And now you can come back into Printify here and we can just start designing. All you would need to do here is come down and pick on, in this case, I'm going to go with the light blue. I'll deselect the white. Just going to come from my download folder here and just click and drag. That looks pretty awesome. And then you can come over here and check out what the heck you're doing and what the heck it's going to look like. Look at this. It looks amazing. Got it on the front here. We've got it on the woman here, so you can see how it looks with the wrinkles, and then we've also got folded here, which is pretty sweet, so you have an idea of what it looks like with a bit of shading here. But ultimately this looks pretty awesome, and that's all there is to it. And you have Chat-GPT here with an unlimited supply at your ready. Let's just try one more time. Let's say 25 more please, because I'm Canadian and I'm polite that way. It's gonna spit out 25 more. Bill the beans, a squirrel tipping over a can of beans. Come on, these are great. Bite the bullet. A bulldog chomping down on a bullet. Hit the road. A hedgehog wearing a backpack and sneakers. Right? Take it with a grain of salt. A seagull carrying a giant salt shaker. It makes no sense, and that's why it's funny. Silly goose on the loose. Well, what's sillier than a goose in a cowboy hat and matching cowboy boots, right? Arguably, maybe if the boots and hat didn't match. I don't know. But an endless amount here. So again, if you're looking for prompts here, people sell this stuff, but you can just copy mine. Give me some retro sayings like easy tagger that our parents used to say. And then follow up with, give me an animal that I should pair each of those with for a t-shirt design. That's it for this one. I'm going to be doing a next one comparing a bunch of t-shirts I have here. That's the GOLDMINE 64000, the Bellline Canvas 3001, the Comfort Colors 1717. But also let me know in the description if there's any other things you want to learn how to do with Kittl. And I'm going to get working on some of these designs now, I think. So we'll see you in the next one.